Welcome to Studying Law Around the World. I'm Claudio Klaus. In each episode, I talk with lawyers, law students, and professors from different parts of the world to talk about legal education, careers, and what the profession looks like in real life. We talk about the hard parts, the surprises, and the decisions that shaped their paths. Whether you're planning to study abroad, thinking about working in another legal system, or just curious about how law works around the world, this podcast is for you.
So many of the guests on this podcast have talked about how important it is to have strong writing skills as a lawyer. It's true, written communication is essential in this profession, but it can also be one of the trickiest skills to master. If you find your writing feels a bit clunky, or you're getting a lot of edits on your work, or perhaps you're breaking into an English-speaking jurisdiction for the first time, Grammatica International can help. I'm Rebecca Lockwood, the lawyer, mediator, and educator behind Grammatica, and we help lawyers and law students to write more sharply, speak more clearly, and advance their careers with group training and one-on-one skills coaching designed just for legal professionals. I have worked with so many lawyers like you who are exceptionally smart, qualified, and capable, but need a bit of guidance to stand out in a competitive legal market. And I get it myself, having lived and worked in 5 countries during my 17 years in law and education. Whether you're looking to sharpen your writing skills generally, refresh your CV, or draft an application for a law program, Grammatica can help. Visit grammatica.co to learn more.
Today I have the opportunity to be hosting Lotus Menezes. She has an incredible story. She's an Osgoode LL.M graduate, and she has built a wonderful career across multiple continents. And I'm so excited to talk with her today. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lotus.
Thanks, Claudia. That's a great introduction, and I really appreciate being here and the time you're taking to spend with me today.
Well, I appreciate you making the time to being here. And to start us off today, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, share a little bit about your journey with our audience today.
Okay, so I'm from Tanzania originally. I went to boarding school at the age of 9 to Kenya, and then I went to law school in South Africa. Was I inspired to get into law from the outset? The honest answer is no. I was initially interested in the arts, art, fine arts, literature, and history. And growing up in the 80s and 90s in Tanzania, the art scene was not as developed as it is starting to get developed right now. So a career in that area was not really something that was viable at the time. So I spoke to my parents, who looked back at my interests, and we thought of law because of, the literature and history component. Then, that's basically what I did. And then I went to law school in South Africa, mainly because it was jurisdictional. There were very good law schools in South Africa. I went to an English boarding school in Kenya, and a lot of my students or peers were going to England, which was the natural progression. I couldn't do that, so we opted for South Africa. I literally went through a textbook of all of the universities, and back then we were looking at textbooks and not websites and things like that. And so I applied to a few, and the one that accepted me was the University of Cape Town. And at the time, they were piloting an LLB program that was 4 years. And because I had done my A level, I was able to get into it without doing an undergraduate degree. And so that's where we are now. I got into law in that way.
Fantastic. That's incredible. And I'm so glad you got the chance to spend some time in Cape Town. What a beautiful city.
Yeah, you spent some time there too. And really, it is the mother city. It's a city that stays in your heart and had so much to offer.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was actually my first international experience. I got to go to summer school there, and it was definitely one of the highlights. I remember it very, very kindly when I think about it. And I'm so glad we're connected that way as well. But I'd love to hear more on, after relocating a few different times and restarting your career in some sort of way. I'd love to hear what helped you to stay focused and motivated through these transitions.
Yeah, so I mean, I started moving around when I was 9. So for me, transition was the constant and the norm rather than the exception. Going to boarding school at the age of 9 and coming back every 3 months. I was always in an in-between world. So change and moving around was constant. What helped me stay motivated was staying connected to my network in school and at home. and bridging that gap and providing a sort of perspective for myself. When I was, to just give you a basic example, when I was in boarding school, I would, write letters. At that time, we were writing letters to, my friend back home. And then when I was at home, I was also keeping in touch with my boarding school friend. And so I did that. And over time, through university, it was payphones. And then, now we have things like WhatsApp and LinkedIn. And so we can really stay connected. So that's what they helped me stay grounded, being connected to my communities and to my ecosystems all around in different jurisdictions.
That's outstanding. And talking about specifically about the process of becoming a lawyer in Canada, were there a few, unexpected challenges or even unexpected supports that helped you to shape this experience here?
Yeah, so let me preface it with the fact that I started my process right at the start of COVID. And at the risk of, talking about the COVID pandemic, it changed the way that I was focused on my qualification process. If we go back a little bit, when I started, there was various options to requalify if you had a law degree in a different country. So you could either do the MPA, which is still relevant today, or you could do it in the form of a master. Because I was moving around a lot and I had taken some time off to be a mother and, focus on family life, I decided when I was back in Canada to go back into a university setting and requalify, do my NCA requirements, but also add other interests into those courses. So I took electives like copyright law, which hopefully was a pin to, you know, further my interest in the art and merging art and law together. So there were various options: NCA, University of Toronto, and Osgoode. And I chose Osgoode mainly because that was the program that worked for me at the time. It was everything was online. I could do it from the comfort of my home, and that was the real difference for me. I don't think I would have gone back if it was in person at the time. So that was the difference for me personally.
Can we explore a little more about your experience at Osgoode? Were there a few things also that beyond the online way that it was delivered that helped you and that really stood out to you? And also, did it shape the way your legal career has been going in Canada in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, firstly, the lecturers who were involved in all these courses were fantastic. They really delivered the courses well. We felt connected. Even though we were online, we felt really connected. I loved the flow of the courses. You could do something like the law of obligations, including, contract law and tort law into one. And so the method of the formula and the method of the courses were really engaging. And, as an aside, we had career services, we had people trying to help us, frame how we were going to further our career after our LLM. So there was a lot of support within the program, as well as the fact that suddenly we had 200 people who were our peers, and these are the people who are going to go into the Canadian legal market. And we were growing together and already building our base, even though we were newcomers. So Osgoode provided that kind of platform in shaping and creating an international legal community, which I thought was incredible.
That's incredible. I saw that you also studied entertainment law, and I'd love to hear what drew you to that field. I know you are an artist yourself and interested in the arts. So, can I hear a little more about that?
Sure. So as I said, way back at school, I was interested in the arts and literature, and art has always been a part of my life. And I always have a sketchbook by my side. Why payment law? Well, Osgoode offers um, an entertainment law certificate at the beginning of each year. And so after doing copyright law, I decided that I really wanted to get into the workings of entertainment law. Let's go back a little bit. While I was finishing my master's, I was also a legal intern for an entertainment company called Thunderbird Entertainment in Vancouver. I was working remotely. And that kind of helped me understand the nature of entertainment law, give me a little bit of an overview. So I was doing, right, um, the distribution agreements. I was, doing certain things that were all involved with entertainment law and in the animation field. So while I was doing that during my LLM, I thought I really needed to focus on, honing my skills in entertainment law. And so I decided to do a certification, which was an intense course. It's about a week. And because I was a recent student, I got a discount for it. So, that helped because these courses are not, they're not cheap. But I took it and I really, really enjoyed it.
From what I saw here, your work at Barrick Gold involved cross-border legal matters in mining and natural resources. And I'd love to hear what did this experience teach you about working with global teams and global clients as well?
Okay. So I started working for Barrick as the company because Barrick had a presence in Tanzania when I was in uh, a law firm in Tanzania. So I worked on employment issues, I worked on corporate matters. And then when I moved to South Africa, I worked for another law firm in South Africa, but also was engaged with some of the work that Barrick was doing back in Tanzania and South Africa, is connected to Barrick in a sense from a outside perspective as a legal, uh, a junior in a law firm on cases working with Barrick. Um, and then when I came to Canada, I needed to requalify, and Barrick gave me the opportunity to fulfill my 4 months requirement because I did my placement through the LPPs, and I needed one 4 month session. So Barrick gave me that opportunity. I ended up staying for a year and working in corporate commercial matters. So moving around different jurisdictions with one company um, really helped me understand the way the company worked in different jurisdictions. But also, dealing with local counsel, I was local counsel at one stage, just understanding how the different legal frameworks work. To give you an example, dispute resolution, some jurisdictions want to, it's heavily litigious, others want to mediate. And so agreements change based on the jurisdiction, based on that. In Tanzania, litigation was really difficult. We almost never went the litigation route because it was the process was really long and arduous, and there was no kind of time limit to it. So we always advise people to negotiate or even arbitrate at a later stage. Um, so that's just an example of how the different jurisdictions work with one company. So this one company obviously does similar things around different jurisdictions, and we just have to figure out how those legal spheres deal with certain issues, essentially a communication and a conversation with different legal communities.
Amazing. Well, from what I understand, you're now at Blake's, and I'd love to hear how has your role evolved and what are you most excited about in your current legal work?
So I've come back to a law firm and, in Toronto, and I'm relearning how the law firm environment and private practice work because I was in private practice in Tanzania and in South Africa. And now in Canada, things have also evolved. We have, AI, we have systems in place. Back when I was writing down my hours, now I can input it into a system. So things have changed and evolved. I've only been here 6 months, so I'm still very much in the learning environment, but it's a very collegial environment. And I'm still mostly doing corporate commercial work and, with mining companies.
If you're an internationally trained lawyer or law student working in or trying to break into an English speaking common law system, you know that legal writing is one of the biggest challenges and one of the most important skills to master. That's where Grammatica comes in. I'm Rebecca Lockwood, the lawyer, mediator, educator, and founder of Grammatica International. We help lawyers and law students to write sharper, speak clearer, and land more interviews with on-demand online courses, live workshops, and one-on-one consulting designed just for legal professionals. I have worked with so many lawyers like you who are exceptionally smart, qualified, and capable, but need some guidance to really stand out in a competitive legal market. And I get it myself, having lived and worked in 5 countries during my 17 years in law and education. Whether you're looking to sharpen your writing skills generally, refresh your CV, or draft an application for a law program, Grammatica can help. Visit grammatica.co to get started.
Amazing. Well, I also know that you're very involved with community organizations, and I know that to some extent they play a big role in your life. And I know you're a natural connector. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that too. Why do you think this community engagement is important for lawyers?
Well, I mean, studying law in South Africa and in Tanzania, and qualifying in Tanzania and Canada, the one mandate is clear. When you become a lawyer, you have to give back, and essentially that's why I'm in community work. I do it for various reasons to connect, you know, to understand what's going on, but also to kind of give back. All the volunteer work I do, and I'm lecturing at Cable, the Canadian Association of Black Lawyers. I'm going into my second year now. I've just joined the Ontario Bar Association as a member at large for the corporate council in-house section, and I'm also new to duty council for artists legal advice services, alas, a pro bono organization. So as you can see, I'm you know, part of where I come from. I joined Cable. The OBA, I'm very interested in council roles, and alas is the artist side. So I've been kind of strategic. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities out there, but over time I've become strategic about the volunteer opportunities I want to do because that's the area I want to grow in and understand, but also give back. So it gives me great pleasure to be able to, speak to artists and novelists and say, these are your licensing rights. This is what you can do. As an artist myself, I feel I can relate. So that is the main reason. When you become a lawyer, you must give back for it. And that's true of many professions, including the law profession.
Amazing. To wrap up today's episode, I'd love to hear about, a final thing for internationally trained lawyers specifically who might be listening to this episode. What's one idea, mindset, strategy, or, even a piece of advice that you have that helped you to integrate and build this very meaningful career that you've built here in Canada?
Thanks, Claudia. That's a great question. And then actually, it ties in with the kind of work that I do at the career support for Osgoode. I speak to international lawyers who are trying to, alongside do qualify and do their NCAs through the masters, try and figure out how to get a job within this market. What I always say to them is, it may be difficult to get in first, but you need to really put yourself out there and go to every event. The market is really small. The legal market is really small. So choose your direction, choose the area of law you're interested in, and then be involved. Go to networking events, go to seminars and webinars, and so integrate with people. But what helped me say integrated is speaking to people who had done this process, whether it was with Osgoode or the NCA or another university, and the people who are with me and understanding what we all want to do, and also trying to help what I'm trying to do right now, people who are coming off the beat. So the strategy is constant communication and free flow of information. So, people reach out to me all the time, cold call on LinkedIn or anything saying, hey, can I talk to you about your experience? And I'm always willing to give my time. Um, because I know what it's like to be there. When I first came here, we didn't have as many people posting on LinkedIn or, having courses to understand what the requalification process was. But now we do. We have a choice. We have so many organizations out there who are giving us a lot of information. And sometimes it may be an information overload. But yeah, so I think it's just staying grounded with the people who've gone before, the people who are doing it with you, and the people who are coming up.
I love that. And what a way to build a community as well, huh? Well, Rosa, I really appreciate you taking the time to being in the podcast today. I really appreciate your insights and just wanted to say thank you.
Well, I want to thank you too, Claudia, because what you're doing is incredible. You call me a connector, but you are a super connector. And giving your time and what started off as just also a dream during COVID, right? You have 75 lawyers and now it's exponential. And I really applaud what you're doing. The approach that you bring to it is so professional. And I'm wishing you luck and I'm looking forward to see all your success.
I really appreciate that. And thank you all for tuning into today's episode and hope to see you on the next one.